Back where I come from, and in lots of English speaking countries around the world, it's called Boxing Day. And I am not quite sure what's happened here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Somehow it flips off. Anyway, it's Boxing Day in a lot of countries around the world. What is Boxing Day? Well, some of you probably know, some of you don't. Way back when there was this big deal with nobility and their servants. On the day after Christmas, the servants will be given the day off, and the quote nobility unquote, the well-to-do people, ones who have plenty of money, some had status, some didn't. Anyway, the ones who had servants would actually box up lightly used items, clothing, etc., and they would put them in these boxes. They would make it look fancy, and they would give them to the servants. And that's how it became Boxing Day. They boxed presents for the servants, but they're supposed to be lightly used. I'm sure some people didn't, and some people did, and some gave new, and some didn't. So anyway, there you are. I was in a quandary today as to what to read, because yesterday the reading, as I mentioned, had absolutely nothing to do with Christmas, zero. So I was disappointed, to be honest with you. I was really disappointed. I understand some people just don't want to recognize Christmas, but by and large, literally billions of people around the world do. And I'm one of them. And I think it's reasonable to assume that we can at least have a reading for Christmas. Even if you're not that way inclined, you can at least do something related to it. But anyway, Reverend Kris chose not to do. That's her choice. I decided not to do her reading. I decided to do something else. So today, what do I do? Do I read the one that she wrote for the 20th, that Reverend Kris wrote for the 25th, or do I do the 26th? Well, I'm probably going to do both. We're going to start off with what would have been yesterday's reading. And here it is. Once again, just for the benefit of anybody coming on for the first time, my name is David. I am an assistant minister at Creative Life Spiritual Center. We have a senior minister, Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, two assistant ministers, Reverend Lisa Ryan and myself, and then we have a distant minister, a staff minister called Reverend Katie Ross-Brigatti. And every day, Reverend Lisa reads in the morning. Right now, she's reading from the Science of Mind textbook. I read in the early, mid, late afternoon, early evening sometimes from the Science of Mind magazine, from the section called the Daily Guides. There's a guide written by a different person each month for each day of the month. And anyway, this is what Reverend Kris Alexander wrote for yesterday. And I think it's a good one. It's called The Sacred Gift of Pausing. The first quote was from Tricia Hershey, Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto. Productivity should not look like exhaustion. The concept of laziness is a tool of the oppressor. Well, I don't know about you, but I grew up with the idea that being idle was a sin. You know, I forgot the exact expressions that used to be used, but hey, you always had to be busy. I agree with Reverend Kris. No, you shouldn't always have to be busy. There are times when you should rest. My wife and I and our guest just took a nap. We took a nap for about 10 minutes, I think, this afternoon after we ate. And I've taken the week off most of my duties, so except for Creative Life Spiritual Center. Ernest Holmes said, as you learn to release all your burdens to the right action of God, Spirit, the Divine, the All, you will find that everything falls into its proper place. You let your problems slip away from you, realizing that a power greater than you are and a presence that is within you is ready, willing, and able to guide you in all ways. That was from Thoughts Are Things, page 89, paragraph 1, Ernest Holmes. This now is Reverend Kris. Let's talk about pausing. As children, most of us didn't have the ability to pause the TV. During commercials, we would run and do whatever needed to be done. Go to the bathroom, take out the trash, do the dishes, and grab some popcorn. It all had to be done in that finite time, with us rushing around to finish before we missed any key elements of the show. I guess it depends what you watched. You know, back home, we had two major groups putting out television. One was the BBC, which had no commercials, and the other was independent television, which did have commercials. So anyway, today's technology allows us to pause anything at any time. Yeah, it does more or less, right? Most of what we watch on TV is recording, right? So you can fly by the commercials. Kind of makes you wonder how much commercials are really worth these days. Anyway, the beauty of the pause button means we can take time to do whatever we need to do without missing out on important plot lines or game changing plays. Now, this is where she flips the switch to like our reality. In life, the pause button is just as important. We become so accustomed to running around, completing our to do lists at a dizzying pace that we forget to pause. When something challenging comes up, when emotions arise, or when we feel confused or upset, we can take time to just pause. This gives us the ability to respond to a situation rather than react to it, allowing us to choose how we show up in life instead of acting from old beliefs or past experiences. We can trust that when we pause, we have plenty of time to process and to move through our thoughts, our emotions, and our ideas before choosing to press play and creatively respond to whatever life puts before us. That small pause button on the remote may be just the most important one of all. I guess she's speaking both physically and metaphorically. So this is a pretty good lesson, actually. And as I said, when I was a kid, I was told there was something about idle hands, the devil's work, something like that. I forget exactly what it was. It's gone from my head right now. But bottom line was, you should never be not doing anything, which of course was reinforced by the nuns and the priests. God knows if they actually followed their own teachings. But anyway, bottom line was, you always had to be busy. When you were at school, you were either in a class, you were doing some homework, you were actually doing sports or something or other. Not a lot of free time. So anyway, but the bottom line is this: everything needs time to pause and recharge. I use an iPad a lot. It's probably my main instrument for getting online. When I've got more serious stuff to do, I've got my laptop and I got my computer. But by and large, my everyday tool that I interface with the world in is from my iPad. And guess what? It needs recharging fairly frequently. Well, it's a big iPad, so it can go for a while. But bottom line is, it needs recharging. And just in the same way, we need recharging. So I agree 100% with Reverend Kris on this, that we need to hit the pause button, and then we can build up our energy again so we can move on and move on to doing other important stuff, right? I honor the pause as a powerful tool, allowing myself the space to breathe, to reflect, and to respond with intention. I honor the pause button as a powerful tool, allowing myself the space to breathe, to reflect, and to respond with intention. I'm going to do my best to come on later on and do the reading which she wrote for today. But for now, I am going to, guess what? I'm going to hit the pause button. So take care. Namaste. Until probably later on. See you then. Bye.